Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it. Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. Cause the love you give, you can't
Entertainment purposes.
That's why I spend my life.
Hi, hotties, kettles, tea stirs. You're here for hot tea. All commentary is alleged, and in my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer, there's a lot of noise going on because they're doing the yard in my neighborhood, so sorry you guys, you may hear that in the background. But I'm just here to make a quick video because it looks like Dusty Dan done landed herself in a bit of trouble, and that's to be expected because she's aligned herself with Walkie Talkie. That's Mel's baby mama. And I keep telling y'all, and this should be all the proof that you need, but when you align yourself with a man like Walkie Talkie, you get what's coming to you. So let's get into it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the post notification bell so you guys are up to date each and every time that I upload. Here's more proof that God don't like ugly. A year or so ago, Dusty Dan went on a tour to discredit Mel. Any blogger that would listen, any blogger that would play into her narrative, she went on their platforms to basically speak about everybody else and their business, which was another reason nobody really liked her or cared for her, because she spoke so much on everybody else's story, and we still to this day know nothing about Destiny or her marriage with LeBerick. And it must have been so bad because LeBerick acts as if he cannot stand her. Every chance that he get, he's taking an opportunity to stick it to her. Now, I'm not saying Dusty Dan don't be doing stuff under the table, but what I'm saying is both of them, it's a lot going on behind the scenes. Not only is Dusty Dan squatting in LeBerick's house, which I don't believe she can be squatting in her ex-husband's house, in my opinion. He should have just gave her the house, but that's neither here or there. She went out of her way to forge documents using his signature. And I'm going to assume this was after the divorce because that's what the articles say. Let's get into the article really quick.
Huntsville police are looking for Jason Atchley, who's suspected of trafficking fentanyl in the area. Destiny Payton Williams is accused of forging her ex-husband's name on a utilities contract without his knowledge.
So Dusty Dan was on the news, on Crime Stoppers, might I add, for basically forging her ex-husband's name on a utility contract. What utility contract could that have been? I don't know. What utility can you not get in your name, Dusty Dan? And this could be a utility contract that she put under his name, and she probably put it under his name because she's still living in the house that he is trying to sell. Here's what we can say. Dusty Dan has been out at everybody's event. She's been networking at every club, at every function, but you are forging your ex-husband's name on a utility bill. Sounds unjust. It's giving very criminalistic, just like her friends. That's why she's always over there at Black. And there's really no need to say allegedly because it's on the news, love. Valley's most wanted. Like, I'm not going to say most wanted because it doesn't say most wanted, but Valley's wanted. I hope Dusty Dan can get herself situated, but what goes to stand is we do not know nothing about Dusty Dan. Here she is on Valley's wanted on the news for forging her ex-husband's signature. And I don't really know what the relationship is between LeBerick and Destiny, but it doesn't seem like a good one. Seems as though their marriage was in a lot of turmoil and they weren't even married for that long. LeBerick doesn't seem to be playing with her. He moves as if he can't stand Destiny. And what does this mean for her son? Who is now going to house custody for her son? And realistically, we don't ever really see her with her son anyway. Dusty Dan has a lot to work out, and it has nothing to do with knowing the secrets that she hold about Melody. Because you guys remember the last reunion, she got up on stage, Beyonce's internet, and said to Mel, do you know the secrets that I hold about you? When we don't know anything about her, and she clearly has a lot of secrets and a lot of stuff in the closet. Y'all get in the comments, let me know what you think about all of this. I wonder what this means for her son. I wonder what LeBerick is going to do next. I wonder if he's going to try to get full custody of the kid. And I would just overall wonder if he's going to make her get out the house. What's next? Y'all get in the comments, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the post notification bell so you guys are up to date each and every time that I upload.
Huntsville police are looking for Jason Atchley, who's suspected of trafficking fentanyl in the area. Destiny Payton Williams is accused of forging her ex-husband's name on a utilities contract without his knowledge.
So today, it was interesting to learn that 93% of people will tell you a lie before they tell you the truth. It's interesting that we also have a high level of narcissism in our society today, because that goes hand in hand with not living in a real reality or trying to manipulate situations into the reality that that person wants. So it's really an interesting space that we're all in now. Talk about you saying how it institutionalized you. I had never dealt with court, traffic ticket or something like that. But I never really dealt with court in the level that you deal with court when you go through divorce and custody battles. Right. And then when you have a situation where the other party is constantly serving you, you're constantly receiving motions through the mail. I literally started to develop anxiety because it was bullying through the judicial system. Correct. And for me, even having people serving me and beating on my door and coming around to just give me to show up at a deposition, to go back and forth about stuff that's so frivolous. Right. And for me, a lot of things that I know God took me through for a reason, but going through a divorce with a 3-week-old baby, signing my papers when he was months old, being in postpartum, my mind, I wasn't even myself. And the things that I experienced in my marriage and in my relationship, I hadn't even spoken about. I hadn't even accepted. And I'm going through this. And so I remember sitting, and for a split second, I had a thought of not want to be here anymore. And it scared the crap out of me, because I was like, wait a minute. No. Like, no, God, this ain't me, the strong one. A breaking point as well.
It was. So 2008, I owned a business. 2012, I was federally charged with aiding and abetting to defraud the government. Aiding and abetting to defraud the government. It wasn't a basis of, I'm going to the courthouse you went to. I was going to federal court. They took me from 0 to 100 real quick. And so I was federally charged. It was on the 5 o'clock news in Huntsville. I started at 5 p.m., And it was aiding and abetting to defraud the government. I had allowed some friends to say they worked for me. They used a check stub. And I was charged with that. So now that's why everybody calls me a fraud, because I was charged with the purchases that they made that they foreclosed on. And so that's what it is. That's how people are able to Google and see the federal case, because they don't know the details of it. And so I was federally charged, went to court. And it was funny because when it was time for the judge to sentence me, she gave me no sentence. But because of the PSI, because of the report and the numbers, the PSI individual came up and said, look, she has to go.
What's PSI?
Where the count in federal cases, they actually tally up the numbers for you, for you to be. It's not like with a judge, and the judge makes a decision based off of the count of the charge. And so I was charged. The judge ended up coming back and saying she would give me 7 days. And I did 7 days. I'd never ever been to jail before, but I did do 7 days. The marshals were to pick me up. They allowed me to turn myself in. And I was in a prison facility that transferred out for 7 days. The judge actually allowed me to do that time as I needed to within 365 days. And I did the full 7. I got it out of the way. And I will tell you this, I literally became institutionalized
in 7 days
with the whole situation. It's traumatizing. When people say something about the feds, it's not like regular. You think about Martha Stewart, you think about the people who go to the feds. It's a tough situation that has me mentally in a space that is scary. And I can't discuss much of it right now, but I actually looked over my case because I was so afraid, as so many people are afraid when they're charged. They hear you're going to go to prison for 30 years. You got to do day for day. I'll settle. I'll do whatever. If you hear that, most people are settling because they're afraid, and we don't have the finances to fight that. So a lot of people are just accepting, I'll take the 20. And so I really never looked at my case until recently. I looked at my case. And for all the great people who had something to say about my case, just wait on God. People usually have plenty to say with no details.
Welcome to my life.
But just wait on God.
I'm waiting because I understand. And of course, my situation is family divorce.
And can I interrupt?
Yeah.
There was no money involved. There was absolutely no money. The money that people see online that they're Googling or looking up, that is solely from what the purchases were. I never got any money. The amount
of the home.
And we realize now that we've gone back and looked at the case is that wasn't even right.
Oh, wow.
So what people saw is now back in court right now, 10 years later. Yes.
Corrected. Wait on God.
Waiting on God.
Share with me something that you feel broke you.
Something that I feel broke me was being an empath. I want to save everybody. I want to see everybody win. I don't know how to cut people off. I want everybody to, okay, well, you did that to me, but I know that you have this greatness on the inside of you.
Oof.
And I know that is something that has been a hindrance for me. Being an empath is dangerous.
Very much
and
so.
I believe that being an empath brings apart being a giver. And givers attract takers.
Absolutely.
Where people will begin to take from you. They'll begin to hurt you because they know they can't. They know you're not going to walk. And so I think partially being that empath started when I was younger. And people who I should have pushed away from me hurt me when I was younger. Who I couldn't say, hey, I'm done with you as a child, family members. And now that I realize at 40, that wasn't okay what they did. And they stayed. So now I keep people at being an empath, wanting to care for them and heal them, even in my broken space.
Whew, okay, so that's a lot because I resonate with so much of that. One is being an empath. I am that. And then two is giving. And your giving is not always monetarily. It's more of your spirit, your soul. Time. And for me, what I realized in a lot of my relationships with people, friends, spouses or spouse, that I was pouring into, because you see, with an empath, you see greatness. You see past the ugly.
You do.
And you try to love them, or you meet them where they are. And you love them around the ugly. And in the process of that, for me, I was just pouring and just waiting for that greatness to show up and expecting it and looking at the potential and not realizing that I was becoming empty. Like I didn't even, we talk about film, and I didn't even recognize myself last season because I was, one, empty. And then I went into a shell, which I learned to do from being a kid. And I went into a world where sometimes I wouldn't even hear or see things going around. Now things look different. It's so interesting to me, the way things look to me now. Like I walked into the courtroom, I've been going back and forth with the legal situation, custody, all that, visitation. And I walked into the courtroom and I literally did not recognize it. And I looked to the left, I said, is this the same courtroom we always come to? And they're like, yeah, this is the same courtroom. The judge walked in, I didn't recognize her. She didn't even look the same to me. And I've been in therapy, as we talked about, specifically trauma-based therapy. And I was telling my therapist about it, and she said, you learn to cope with your trauma by disconnecting from reality.
Oh my goodness.
And so when you walk into that courtroom, now that you've had some breakthroughs, you saw what was really there.
Oh my.
And I was just like, oh. And then I thought about our session prior to, where I had to go back to my earliest memory, and by the age of 10, I had to stop.
Wow.
Because it was so much trauma.
Right.
And things I had suppressed, things I had forgotten. But I also connected two things to that. One is that we're taught to deal with situations in our community, especially, and be silent about them. Be it child molestation, you got to sit across from your uncle that you told your mama or daddy that touched you. I talked to my therapist about this. Like, I feel like that's why we're in a season, and I know this word is overused so much, but we're in a season of high narcissism. And narcissism comes from people that they basically create their own world. They live in a lot of illusion. When you're in trauma, so we're talking about the community and, abuse, your granddad, you heard your granddad used to beat on your grandma, you know that Uncle Tommy touched your cousin, and all these things you sit in.
Right.
And you sit in on holidays with these same people, and you have to fake your reality in order to cope.
Correct.
And then you become less empathetic to other people because you've lost yourself.
Correct.
And so in the space of trauma, a lot of times people, myself, disconnect. Thank God for allowing me to be an empath, because it made the balance of me not losing my empathy.
Right.
But it's a lot. It's a lot for us to sit in truth and be untrue.
Right.
So,
and when you want to be truthful, and people want to call you crazy.
Oh, you're a
liar.
liar.
Outcast. You're the liar. You are the fraud. You become that because so many people are fraudulent. I'm dealing with a situation right now where the whole situation is a delusional mess. And because I told the truth, now I'm the bad guy.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened. So that's what has
you become the villain when you tell the truth, because everybody's living in a false reality.
In a false reality.
Or you're aggressive. When you speak out, when you tell the truth, you become, oh, that person's aggressive, because they're so used to a sugar-coated answer.
Right.
Instead of just the truth.
I was looking at the statistics. It says that 93% of people will tell a lie before they tell the truth. 93% of people will lie before they tell the truth. That is a high. So that means that a question is asked of you, and you get the choice to say what's right or what's wrong, what's truth or a lie. And most people, over half, will choose the lie versus the truth. So that means
that's a lot.
That few people who will tell the truth,
they're an anomaly.
Yeah.
And then they become, it's so funny when you say that 93% of people don't tell the truth. I think about being in circumstances with people that you know are not truth tellers. And also being in circumstances where you want to tell the truth, but you know it's not the right place. Right. So for me, what I learned to do in my life was I'd rather stay silent.
Right.
And that in this world of dealing with reality, it doesn't work, because then people create their own narrative, their own story, and then they run with it. So for me, I would choose, even to this day, to not say anything versus lie.
Correct.
So a lot of times I've been asked questions and I might dance around because I don't want to tell the truth, because I feel like, oh, it's going to harm this person, or it may come to this person in a certain way. So 93%, that's high. That's why I understand keeping your circle small. And when you find a real one, it's very rare. And that's why I understand that the statement too, real, recognize real, because it's a small group.
It is. It's a very small group. And you have to understand that if it's a 93% chance that there are going to be some people around you who won't be honest. And recently what I've realized is God give me a double portion of discernment. Don't just give me the one portion, because I've overlooked some things that were obvious, but wherever I was at that space allowed the connection. And so I've overlooked a lot of stuff in my life, and I have gone through a lot of things. So I try to save relationships because I don't like starting over. Even in the point, as I was studying this morning about the root of an issue, you have to really get to the root of an issue to uproot a thing, because if you don't, those roots will begin to spread into other stuff.
And they go deep.
So you being quiet turns into you being angry. When somebody come at you, you ready to defend yourself. And it gets to a space where you are the bad guy. And so me being right now in counseling, I definitely love where it's at, because
I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. 'Cause the love you give, you can't replace.
It's not in the case of anybody.